right. Well, welcome to another Using Kerrii webinar. So today we're going to look at working with bulk formulas and macerations. So for those of you who don't know who I am, my name's Bernadette Ann. I'm the VP of Marketing Support here at Kerrii, and this is how you can get a hold of me. And this is what we're going to be covering today. And Cassandra, at any time, if you have any questions, feel free to stop me and ask. Not a problem. But this is kind of our agenda. So we're going to be working with, first, we're going to look at bulk formulas, so what they are, how to create them, how to package them, and then also how to go ahead and track waste. So that's what the first thing we're going to look at. And then we're going to look at what is a maceration, how to create one, produce one. And then we also have a new feature with Kerrii where you can actually take a maceration and produce it as a bulk product. So what we're going to start with first is, when do you actually create a bulk formula? As you know, in Kerrii, we have 3 different things you can create: a formula, bulk formula, and a maceration. So you create a bulk formula in basically 2 different instances. The first one is when you aren't sure what size of product your customers are going to order. So what it does is it allows you to go and create your product in one big, huge bulk batch, and then you can just package it as the orders come in. And that just prevents you from having a whole bunch of orders sitting on the shelf in the wrong size. Also, you would create a bulk formula when you're making a product and you need to track the waste left in the container as part of the manufacturing process. So that happens when we make things like salves or creams. We often have this kind of a leftover product, and sometimes it can be significant, so we want to track it. And so if you create a bulk formula, there's a process that we're going to look at today that will allow you to do that. So let's start with first with what is a bulk formula. So a bulk formula is when you take a whole bunch of raw materials, you combine them together to create a product, and that product is not all of that product is packaged at the time that you make it. When you produce this bulk formula, it's then added to the inventory list as a bulk product. So now we're going to look at the actual process of creating a bulk formula. So we're going to sneak over here to Kerrii. And so creating a bulk formula is pretty much, we go to the same place when we're going to go and create a maceration or a formula, which is our drafts list, because this is our workspace in Kerrii. And we're going to go up to new, and then we're going to choose bulk formula. So today what we're going to do is we're going to create a bulk tea, and I'm going to call this tea our feel good tea. I'm not going to bother for the description just for the sake of time. And we're going to make 10 batches of this tea. So let's see what we're going to make here. I'm just going to grab some random stuff sitting in my inventory. I don't have enough, so I'm just going to adjust that because I know I have a pound in there. And then we're going to add another ingredient, just the same way as you add your formulas. I'm going to find another herb that I have here. What else do I have that would be good in a tea? Where's I have some lavender. Let's put that in. And 25 grams of that. You can see I made this earlier in the day, so that's why it keeps telling me that I don't have enough. And then we're going to add another ingredient. So let's look at, and I think I have some chamomile too, but I have enough of this one. Okay, there we go. So I've got our 3 ingredients. So at this point, I'm going to save it. And now I'm going to produce it. So I'm going to click produce. Or no, the first thing we want to do, yeah, save it. And then I'm producing it, right? Yes, I'm producing it. Sorry. We have to produce it to be able to remove the stuff from inventory. So now how much time did it take for me to put all this together? It took me about 20 minutes. The yield that I had is got 750 grams of tea. There was no waste at all. I'm going to let Kerrii generate the lot number for me. It's tea, so it has a 1-year expiry date. And I stock this regularly, so I want to know to restock it. I need to know to restock it when I only have 2 left. And we're going to hit the stock checkbox to make sure that it gets added to the restock list. And now I'm going to produce it. Do you want to produce this bulk formula? Okay. There we go. And now if I go to my inventory list and I look for my Feel Good tea, there it is right here. There's my tea. Do you have any questions about that, Cassandra?
My only question is, when do you start doing the packaging part where you add in like the tea bag or the tea balls?
So the packaging is done after you've created the formula.
Okay.
So let's go ahead and that's our next step. So we've created a bulk formula. Now we're going to package it. Okay, so here's our Feel Good tea. So to package it, what we're going to do is we're going to select it. So here's our Feel Good tea. And if we look down here, there's a button that says packaging. So we're going to click that. And this brings us back to our pricing and packaging dialog box. So this is the exact same dialog box that you see when you go ahead and you package a product that you've made when you've created a formula. And just like in the case when you're dealing with a formula, every time for each size of container that you make, you need to go ahead and create a new package. And you do that by click on the Build Packaging button. So the way we're going to package this tea is we're going to package it into, we've got 750. I only want to package 2 bags. I've had an order come in for a 50-gram bag, and I've had an order come in for a 100-gram bag. So we're going to have to enter in these 2 different times. I'm going to start with my 100-gram bag. So I'm going to click on Build Packaging. I want 1 bag, and it took me like 15 minutes to package this, not 15 minutes, but 10 minutes to package it. And I want a 1 pound bag because we're going to package 100 milliliter, 100 grams first. I need a label for this. And let's put, there needs to be 100 in here. So we have 100. So you can see our total amount that we have is 750, and we're packaging 100 of it. So I'm going to click Add to Packaging. So we can see here, I've packaged 100 out of the 750. There it is. Now we're going to add our next size of package, our 50-gram package. So we're going to click Build Packaging again. 1 item and 10 minutes. And we're going to use a 1/2 pound bag this time. Put our label on it. And this is 50 grams. And then we're going to add it to our packaging. So now we have our 2 packages. You can see that we've only packaged 150 of it out of the total 750. So just like with our formulas, at this point, we can decide if we want to mess around with the retail markup of both of these items at the same time. And so we would do that by changing putting a different percentage in here. So it will change the retail price of both of these. I'm going to put it back to 200 because that's my default that I have set up here in the profile. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to check the price breakdown. So exactly how did Kerrii come up with this retail price? So this tells me that my overhead is 34 cents. My markup is $10.34. And I'm going, you know, that's a pretty big, 10 bucks is a lot. This is 23. I'm going to change, or this is 15.50. So I'm going to change the price of this. I'm going to make it $14.99. I like that better. So I've got this selected, hit set price, $14.99, and that's now changed. So I'm much happier with that. And if I check, I'm still making a good $9.82. So that's awesome. So I'm going to go up here. I'm going to change this retail price because I don't like this one either. I'm going to make that $22.99. Okay, so now we have a nice price here. What's my breakdown? Making $15.02, which is awesome. So now I'm happy with this. Now, normally, if we were going to go ahead and sell this right away, we would need to add this to the store shelf. Now, remember when we talked about formulas, the store shelf is the public face of all the items that we have sitting in our inventory, right? So our information that's in a store shelf is what appears on the invoice. It's not what is actually sitting in our inventory list. And if you remember our discussion, the reason that we do that is because herbs are a commodity item, and we want to make sure that when the cost of producing our items fluctuates, that it doesn't affect the price that the customers see. It also allows us to have a different description for an item in the inventory section, which might be helpful for us as an herbalist, but it's not something that maybe our customers will really understand, so we can have something more customer friendly on the invoice. So that's what the store shelf is for. So what you do is you create your store shelf item, and then you attach inventory items to the store shelf. So I am going to add these items to the store shelf. You stock this regularly, so I already have them. They're already existing items sitting there, so I'm just going to attach them to those existing items. So this is our Feel Good 100 tea. You can see that there's a price here that is different from the price I have here, because this is the price my customers are used to seeing. So that's what I'm going to go with instead. And then I'm going to go here to shelf. 50 grams. And once again, that's the price my customers are used to seeing. Okay. If I want that price to be the same, or if I want to change up the price that shows up on the invoice, I do that within the store shelf. And we're going to be having another webinar shortly that's going to go over the particulars of using the store shelf and how to change prices and things like that. So we're not going to go into too much more depth in that today, but I just thought you kind of need to know what that is. So we want to go ahead and the store shelf, we want to create a lot number. So we already generated a lot number for this. We have our expiry date. It's an item. This is an item that we are going to restock. So I'm going to tell me. So when I have only 2 of these, please let me know. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and produce. So remove items from inventory and produce. I'm going to click OK. And there we go. We have our Feel Good tea. This is, notice there's only 600 left because we packaged the other 150. And if we go and we do another search for our Feel Good tea, hold on, clear filter. Let's just scroll down and see where it went. So there we go. So there we have our regular Feel Good tea, and then we have our, which is our bulk item. And then we have Feel Good 100 grams, which is our point of sale item ready to sell to our customer. And then we have our 50-gram bag of Feel Good tea, which is, again, a point of sale item ready to sell to our customer. And if we take a look at our store shelf and we look for our Feel Good tea, here it is. There's our 50-gram and we have 1, and our 100 gram, we have 1. Are there any questions on packaging bulk products?
No, makes sense.
Okay, perfect. So the next thing that we're going to look at is tracking waste. So this is a multi-step process. And the reason that you would do this, if you find that you're making your products and you're consistently having a significant amount of the product is going to waste because it's like stuck in the container. So an example of that is when you make creams are really, really bad because it's really hard to get everything out of that blender. Salves, not so much, but creams are usually a little bit of a nightmare when it comes to having some leftover excess product. So this isn't an exact, it's not going to give you exact how much is left. It's going to give you an approximation, and it's a tool that you can use, but it's certainly just because of the nature of how Kerrii works, it will give you an idea so that you can take and claim that on your taxes, but it's definitely not going to be an exact measure of your waste. So the way that it works is first you actually go through the process of creating the product. So before you put anything into Kerrii, go into your lab, your dispenser, your apothecary, create your salve or your cream. When you've created it, you need to measure your yield. So how much of that you've actually got, you need to measure that yield, and then you need to package it. Okay, so before you go to Kerrii, your product is created, your yield's been measured, and it's been packaged. So you know how many sizes of each container you have and how much is in each one of those containers. Then you go into Kerrii and you create your bulk formula. Then you package it, all of that bulk formula in Kerrii, entering the number and the package sizes that you actually used. Then you add the packaged product to the store shelf, and any leftover bulk product you then add to the obsolete list. So let's take a look at what that looks like. So if we're in Kerrii, and let's create a new bulk formula, and we're going to create a feel-good salve. And I'm only going to do one batch of this. So I'm going to grab my beeswax. And these are just measurements that I'm just pulling off the top of my head. Please don't abuse me because I've got it wrong. Okay, so we've got our beeswax, we have our infused oil, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to click save. Okay, and now we're going to produce it. Produce the bulk product, yes please. So it took me half an hour to go ahead and create this salve and package it. The yield that I got, we're going to say was 200. It was 200 milliliters when I measured it. We're going to generate a lot number for it. We're going to give it an expiry date. So salves are usually about good for about 6 months. This is something that I regularly carry. So when I get down to 2, please let me know. And we're going to click produce. Yes, thank you. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, so now if I go into my inventory, so we've done the first part, we've gone ahead and we've created the bulk product. Now we're going to package it. So let's find our Feel Good salve. And we're going to package it. And just like we had with our tea, we need to add each container or each size of the product separately. So the way that this worked out for me is I ended up having 3 50-gram jars and then one 50-gram jar that only had 45. So 3 jars. Gosh, it didn't. My labor is pretty much already accounted, so I don't need to really put much in there. My container is a 50 milliliter ointment jar. Okay, and we need a lid. Where's my lid? And then I need a label too. Okay, so that's 50, 3 of them, 150, perfect. Add to packaging. Okay, so that's that one. And now we're gonna go add that one jar that only had 45 in it. Container, where's my jar? 50 ml lemon jar. Add the lid. And then the label. Add that to packaging. So you can see there's 200 in total. I've only packaged 195 of it, so there's still 5 milliliters that's not been added. We're going to go and add this to our store shelf so that we can, I think I've got this in here already. No, I don't. We will skip that step today then, just for the sake of time. You can add it later. We have a lot number, we have an expiry date. So now I'm going to click my restock point for this. I'm not going to put a restock point, and then I'm going to click produce. Okay, do you want to produce this? Okay. So now we can see I only have 5 left over. So that's the waste. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click obsolete. So when I click obsolete, it's going to take that last 5 mils and it's going to add that to the obsolete list. So if I look up here at the obsolete list in my inventory list, we can see there's the Feel Good Salve and it's that 5 mils. And then of course we take our obsolete list and we print this off and give this to our accountant at the end of the year.
Nice.
Any questions about tracking your waste using a bulk formula?
Not yet, yeah.
So yeah, so it's like I said, it's not a perfect process, but if you do find that you have a significant amount of waste that's happening, this at least allows you to account for some of it.
For sure.
All right, so what we're going to look at next then is our macerations. So when you come into Kerrii, it takes you right here to the maceration calendar. So what is a maceration in Kerrii? So a maceration is when you take a bunch of raw materials, you put them all together, they sit for an amount of days, and then you take that end product and you use it to make other products. So when you produce a maceration or you process a maceration, the default is for it to get added to the inventory list as another raw material. However, we have had situations where our customers have come to us and said, well, they want to take this and be able to sell it to clients directly without having to do the extra step of creating another formula. And so we've also added the option that if you want to, when you process your maceration, you can add it to the inventory list as a bulk product. And bulk products can also be used to create macerations as well. So it's a little extra a feature that we've now added. So when would you create a maceration? Pretty much anytime you need something that's going to sit. If it's going to sit for a bit and you need to use it to make something else, then that would be a maceration. So things like elixirs, your tinctures, your infused oils, all of those we would create a maceration for. So let's take a look at how to do that. So our macerating list is right here on the left-hand side. So if you click macerating, this will tell you all of the things that are sitting and macerating at the moment. This is a little bit handier than having the calendar, because the calendar you can only see what is currently macerating this month unless you move your little arrows back and forth. Whereas with the macerating list, it just shows you everything in a list. So if you have things that are due on separate months, it makes it a little bit easier to keep track of. So what we're going to do is click our new button And we're going to create our nice little maceration. So I think I'm going to make a hypericum tincture. Nah, hypericum's not a good one. Let's take a look and see what we got in here. What do I want to turn into a tincture? Oh, how about our cleavers? Let's turn our cleavers into a tincture. Okay, I think I spelled that right. Okay, so with our tincture, I often like to put in the botanical name. I'll put in the name of the tincture, and then in the description, I'll put the common name. There, I've done a whole, if you look at the information on inventory, there is a whole bunch of information about the importance of naming conventions, keeping your names nice and consistent and standard so that you can find things when you go to search for stuff in the inventory later on. I also like to put the my alcohol, that amount of alcohol that I'll use to tincture it, as well as the ratio between menstruum and herb. Okay, so this is my little maceration right here. It only took me, to put all this together. Yeah, it took me about 20 minutes to get myself organized. So, apparate, let's fix this. There we go, that's better. And maybe I should spell tincture right too. And then the next thing we're going to do is put in our alcohol. So we're going to use vodka. So let's put 228 of that. And then our vodka, we're going to put, how much do we want to put in here? Probably, let's say 532 sounds about right. And then, do I not have enough vodka? What's it doing here? Oh, it's yelling at me. Let's see, how much vodka do I have? Oh, I only have 88. Let's put in 1,000 liters here. Okay, now it's happy. Okay, so let's put in, so that's vodka, and then we need some distilled water to dilute it. I don't have any distilled water. How can I not have any distilled water? Okay. Let's just put in distilled water. Okay, so now I have distilled water. There we go. Oh, yeah, that was my browser. All right, so let's put in 325 here. So that should be about right. Now I'm going to hit save. Oh, I need a process date. So this is going to be ready in 2 weeks. Now I'm going to save it. Now, as you can see, you have the choice of giving the maceration a lot number at this point. So some people like to put their lot number on their jars as they're macerating it, or some people won't and they'll put it on later. It's up to you. You have the option. So let's get funky and we'll generate a lot number for it now. And then click save. Okay, and now it's all ready to go. So we're going to hit macerate. And once we hit macerate, then it's going to take stuff out of inventory for us. So there we go. There's our gleam. all ready to go, or gallium. And if we look here in our maceration calendar, there it is right there. So any questions about creating a maceration?
Nope.
Okay, so then the next thing is when it comes time to process it. So you can either go into the macerating list, or you can do it directly from the maceration calendar. The nice thing about the maceration calendar too is, of course, I can always change the dates. If it's due to be processed or if it's past due, it turns red. But we'll put it here for now. So I'm gonna double click it and then it will open it up, and then we can go ahead and we can produce it. So I'm gonna click produce. And how long did it take me? It took me like half an hour to filter it and everything else. When I was done, I got 650 milliliters out of it. And it already fills in the lot number because that we had put that in previously. And then expiration date is, it's 3 years. So there we go. And I'm not going to bother stocking this. And then I would click produce, and then it would go ahead and make it and add it to the inventory list as raw material. So let's do that. Produce. Okay. So it's gone from here. And if we look at our inventory, here it is. Okay. Now, the important thing to notice is it says raw, right? It's added as a raw material. So if I want to go ahead and then sell this to a customer, if it's in as a raw material, I have to create a formula, add the maceration or this tincture as a single ingredient in the formula, and then package it and then add it to the store shelf, and then I can sell it to a customer. But we can shortcut that process. And so we have another maceration sitting in our calendar, our yarrow here. So we're going to process this one. But this time what we're going to do is we're going to add it to inventory as a bulk product instead of as a raw material. And then that way, if we want to sell it to a customer, we can easily package it just by hitting that packaging button the same way that we did previously with our bulk product. So let's do that. So we have our maceration. We're going to do that lot number for it. Save and produce it. Oh, there's also something I didn't mention to you guys that I wanted to show you before we go any further. And that is that you also have the ability. So sometimes when you're making a maceration, you might start with putting certain ingredients and then let it sit for a little while and then want to add something else later. So if you want to add something during the maceration process, you can do that. And you do that by opening up the maceration as we've done, and then you click this add ingredient button. So if I want to, I can come in here and I can say, oh, I want to add, I don't know, let's grab something. I'm going to throw some calendula in here now. Okay. And then you just add the ingredient. Oh, sorry. And then you just click add to maceration. Click OK. So now I've added this, and then because I've added something new, then I need to change the process date, right? Because this is going to sit for so long, I'm going to, now I need to let it sit a little bit longer. So I would let it sit for another 2 weeks and then click save. And then when I hit close, we can see it's been moved here. And when I open it, we have that additional ingredient in it. Okay, so that was just a little extra something I wanted to show you. We try and make Kerrii as flexible as possible. So if you find that you do need to add something later on, not a problem. At any point, you can add the item, change the process date, and then you're good to go. So when you're ready to process your maceration, you're going to click the produce button. And this was back here, 0.5 again. I think I said 650 milliliters. Our expiry date, 1, 2, 3. Okay, and I'm not going to worry about stocking this, but now I want to add it as a bulk product. So this bulk checkbox, I'm going to click on that. When I click on that bulk checkbox and then I click produce the maceration. Now, if we go into our inventory and we take a look for that Achillea or tincture, you can see right here, it's added as a bulk product. So I have one that's as a raw material, another one as a bulk product. Are there any questions?
No, not yet.
All right. Well, that concludes our webinar for today. So do keep an eye out on the website, on our events page for additional webinars. The next one I think we're having, the next one that we're having is actually going to be a little different. Normally we have them on a Monday, and I believe this one's on a Tuesday.
The 24th?
Yeah, the 24th. And at that one, do you remember what we're doing, Cassandra, on the 24th?
Something about the store, right? Working with the
Let's
store shelf.
Events. Yeah, that's right. Yes. So that's what we're going to be doing on the 24th, is we're going to be looking at the store shelf in detail and how to work with it.
Yes.
Thank you so much for joining me.
Yes, thank you.